Have you ever thought about how one single narrow strip of water could have the power to bring the entire global economy to its knees? Well, that place is real. It's called the Strait of Hormuz. In the next few minutes, we're going to explore exactly why this tiny spot on the map is a massive flashpoint for global energy, trade, and military conflict.
Okay, get this. At its narrowest point, the strait is just 21 miles wide. To put that in perspective for you, that's shorter than the length of Manhattan. Now imagine a huge chunk of the world's energy being squeezed through that tiny channel. It's no surprise it's become one of the most heavily monitored and militarized places on Earth. And that brings us to a really key term you need to know, a maritime choke point. It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a point in a sea lane that can be constricted or choked off either by geography or by military force. And when it comes to choke points, Hormuz is, without a doubt, the undisputed king.
So what is it that makes Hormuz the king of all choke points? Well, it really all boils down to one simple word: energy. Let's dig into the numbers, because when you see them, you'll understand just how critical this waterway really is.
The numbers here are just staggering. About one-third of all the oil shipped by sea passes through this one single gateway. Every day, millions and millions of barrels of crude oil and natural gas from giants like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and the UAE all depend on this one narrow passage to get out to the rest of the world. And you know, that kind of dependency creates a massive vulnerability. For the huge economies in Asia and Europe, the Strait of Hormuz isn't just some shipping lane. It's their economic jugular. Any disruption here, even a small one, sends immediate shockwaves across the entire globe. All right, so when you have something this strategically important, it naturally creates a ton of tension. And right at the heart of that tension is this fundamental clash between two very, very different military philosophies, mainly between Iran on one side and the United States on the other. So what you're seeing here is that fundamental clash of strategies. Iran uses what's called anti-access/area denial, or A2AD for short. You can think of it as a giant keep-out sign, but it's backed by some serious firepower. It's designed to make it way too costly for the U.S. Navy to just waltz into the area. In response, the U.S. is all about power projection, basically making sure they can go anywhere, anytime to keep those sea lanes open. Let's look at how each side plans to pull that off.
Iran's whole game is classic asymmetric warfare. They know they can't go toe-to-toe with a massive U.S. aircraft carrier, so they don't even try. Instead, they rely on things like swarms of small, fast boats, a huge inventory of naval mines we can deploy super quickly, and anti-ship missiles hidden all along the coast. Now, add in their increasingly sophisticated drones and ballistic missiles, and what you get is a layered defense designed to inflict the absolute maximum amount of damage.
So, how does the U.S. even begin to counter a threat like that? Well, with overwhelming force. We're talking about entire carrier strike groups, some of the most advanced missile defense systems in the world, and a huge surveillance network of satellites and drones watching everything. The goal here is simple: deter any attack before it can even get started.
This quote really just captures the incredibly high-stakes game being played here. The threat of disrupting the oil flow, even though it would hurt Iran too, is still a really powerful bargaining chip. It's kind of the ultimate trump card in a very, very dangerous game.
Okay, so let's just imagine for a second that all this deterrence fails. What would a real disruption in the strait actually do to the world? The consequences would be immediate, and believe me, they would be severe.
The chain reaction would be swift and absolutely brutal. Any disruption, whether it's a blockade or an actual military conflict, would immediately cause energy prices to just skyrocket. And that shock would then cascade through all of our global supply chains, leading to widespread economic instability.
And the scale of that impact would be massive. We're not just talking about a few cents more at the gas pump. A prolonged closure of the strait could easily double or even triple oil prices, which would trigger an economic crisis unlike anything we've really seen in decades.
And this is why it matters to you. An oil price shock affects everything: the cost of shipping, the cost of manufacturing, even the cost of the food on your table. It would all go up. This would lead to massive inflation, hitting your wallet directly and hammering every business around the world.
So this brings us to the reality of today. The Strait of Hormuz exists in a state of constant, perpetual tension, and it's all managed by this fragile, high-stakes game of deterrence.
You can see right here all the competing interests at play. The U.S. sees itself as the global security guarantor. For Iran, the strait is a key point of leverage. China is completely dependent on it for its energy, and for the Gulf states, it's their economic lifeline. All these different interests create a really delicate and frankly dangerous balance.
And that's really the crucial thing to take away from all this. This isn't a crisis that just comes and goes. It's a constant state of readiness. In a place this heavily militarized, this contested, a single miscalculation, a drone flying off course, a ship being misidentified, that could be all it takes to ignite a much wider and much more devastating conflict.
And so we're left with this critical question for the future. With global power dynamics shifting, with China's naval power on the rise, and with new technologies like attack drones changing the whole game, who is going to be the one to secure the world's most vital waterway? The answer is more uncertain and more important than ever before.